And also in business, you have to react to business opportunities. In the academic world, you're very comfortable. Your schedule is very comfortable. Students come to you. You don't go to the students.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to QSTP's digital series, an opportunity to have meaningful and inspiring conversations with business leaders, thought leaders on topics of importance. My name is Mohammed Libyan. I'm the Program Manager for Startup Acceleration at QSTP. And today it's my pleasure to have the President of QSTP, Dr. Jack Lau. Welcome, Dr. Lau.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thanks for being here. Dr. Lau, you invested a lot of time and effort in your life on academics, and you've achieved a significant amount of accomplishments in the academic world: bachelor's, master's, PhD, postdoc, tenured professor. Most people would be content with remaining in that realm, but you also founded 2 startups during your time in the academic world. Can you tell us a little bit more about those startups and what inspired you to create them?
Well, there's a saying, right? Those who cannot do it will teach. So I started out, as you mentioned, at the university, really passionate about education and research. But at a certain point in my life, I really want to try doing something that's more impactful in a practical manner and to try my business acumen. So I did indeed start a couple companies, and eventually one of them I took public and the other one I sold. One is on digital signal processor. It was way back on the multimedia compression algorithm. And it went on for about 15 years.
Okay.
It was a long journey. The second one was a banking software, which I started simultaneously with the digital signal processor company. I think I was a bit wild, but I had a good run. It was fun.
15 years is a considerable amount of time. Did you find that your academic experience helped you a lot, or just your general life experience was more important from a business setting point of view?
Well, I think all experiences are relevant. In fact, it's your past experiences which shape your action and your reaction to situation. I think that the academic rigor does help in many ways. The carefulness in the reading materials and analyzing material, that helps. But I must say that sometimes it backfires too, because in business, a lot of time you need to act very quickly and with acumen. That means insight. You don't have much time to react. And also in business, you have to react to business opportunities. In the academic world, you're very comfortable. Your schedule is very comfortable. Students come to you. You don't go to the students. But in the business world, actually, you go after the customers, go after opportunities. So I think that the academic experience does help tremendously in many aspects. But if you're not careful and be too comfortable and keep reminding yourself that you are not a business person, but an academic person, it might not be the best experience. So I think that you just need to be very mindful of your experiences and be dynamic in adjusting to the situation.
Okay. And they're two would I be correct in saying that they're 2 very different hats, academic versus business, not just in terms of skill set, but just in mindset. Would that be a safe assumption to make?
Well, my mindset is a right term, Mohammed. So there are different ways to look at a mindset. One of the mindset, of course, is the methodology in doing things. But the other mindset is what I call the grit. So both the academic experiences and the business experiences rely a lot on what I call grit. You just have to grind it out and get it done. But the mindset of academic experiences of being rigorous and get to the bottom of things does help. I may even venture to say that the academic rigor motivates you to look for the best solution and be pretty humble about it.
Mm-hmm. Did your academic experience help you how to what degree, let's say, it's not yes or no, I guess to what degree did your academic experience help you in running your businesses? Because you were a founder, and as a founder, you're a leader, you're leading your team. So there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders.
So the academic experiences in terms of being a founder, I did run the company as a CEO, as a chairman, lead to many very interesting observations about myself too. So it's not just about the business, because at the end of the day, business becomes your life. So I would think that the academic part of it, being a little bit more methodological, is extremely important. But I as I said earlier, the business part of it is a lot of times opportunistic. There's certain strategy, but as a young company, strategies needs to continue to be pivoted. So that is a part that academic experience does not help. The other thing that I feel that the academic experience is very interesting is that in academic experience, you actually go up to the podium and you give a lecture, right? So you have to prepare for it, and you have to prepare for questions and answers. That part actually is very useful in the business world, because in the business world, you have to do presentation. You have to explain your ideas. You have to convince everybody internally to your organizations, to your board of directors, to investors, externally to convince to the customers. So those are extremely useful for me.
Mm-hmm. Can I touch a little bit on artificial intelligence?
Sure.
You're very knowledgeable and experienced in AI, and specifically in the financial sector. Now, everyone's talking about AI today, and we're seeing a convergence of artificial intelligence in different industries. But let's take a look at the financial sector. The convergence of AI in the financial sector in areas that, for example, like blockchain, where that convergence, depending on who you are in the industry, could be very disruptive or could be seen as an opportunity. What are your thoughts on that, based on your experience in that as a startup in that sector?
Well, first of all, there are many people who are more knowledgeable and up to date because they have to grind it in the area of AI. But I do like it, the technology. I'm very passionate about it. As late as 2 years and a half ago, I had yet another startup doing blockchain NFT, sort of for fun. It was moderately successful. So I feel that technology, actually, it's not necessarily just AI or what technology. Technology is always should be a byproduct of satisfying, or it should be a technology that's useful to satisfy certain human needs. But at the same time, it's disruptive because those human needs, until those new technologies arise, must have been satisfied by some other means. So in a sense, yes, it's disrupting the current methodology, but at the same time also open up their possibilities. I normally use that as an example. Take the example of customer service. You call an airline, you call a hotel. I'm sure most of us will have bad experiences. Long line, or waiting on the phone, not answering properly, and next time you call, they forget. So obviously, with an AI chatbot, for instance, it can do wonders. But what about the person who was originally the customer service operator?
Yes.
What will he or she
What
do?
do they do?
Right? So, but since the demand for customer service of being instantaneous and be satisfactory is so huge, those human beings who used to be customer service operator, now you can imagine they actually get a promotion. Instead of answering one call at a time, they could be monitoring 20, 30 calls at a time and only intervene when the machine fails. So in a sense, his or her productivity increases because he does have the experiences. So I would think that yes, it's disrupt, but at the same time, you get promoted. Mm-hmm. Right? So technology always works when the desire is insatiable. Health, speedy responses, accurate responses, and all that. So blockchain, you mentioned, is a good way of using technology because it allows you to have confidence in certain kind of transactions or documentations and other beautiful things.
Right.
So that actually, you think about it, that desired things to be accurate and fast is satisfied. And in fact, before that happens, there are a lot of problems. You may imagine if a shipping document is not blockchain, when you get to the port, you have to check all the documents, your verification, and very old days, you have to fax back, to the originator to verify it's accurate. Imagine the problem, right? So for that matter, technologies like blockchain, of course, helps. And of course, just like technology has its flaws, but if you don't focus just on the flaws but on the merits, you see that actually it has a little bit, well, not a little bit, more advantage than disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. And with the theme of disruption, I think it's fair to say that technologies do disrupt. They're intended to disrupt, but at the same time, they're generating value. And the value they generate over time exceeds the disruption. So the positive outcomes are far greater than the negative outcomes, and we as a society benefit from that. If you look back at, say, 20 years and where we are today, we benefit from it. But with AI, is the concern, if there is a concern, maybe I'm being overly concerned about it, but with AI, is it more of a concern not with its capabilities, even though the capabilities are significant, but with the speed of disruption?
No, well, first of all, I hear the term disruption or disruptive quite a bit, not just in this conversation, but I think we need to be very careful because disruption usually is a bad thing. But that connotation aside, technology, as I mentioned, is supposed to satisfy certain human needs if it's for human beings. So the question is not whether those technology disrupt. The question should be whether those technologies satisfy certain needs that cannot be satisfied otherwise. As I mentioned, the speed of response, the accuracy of response. So let's go back to artificial intelligence. So AI is very interesting because it allows you to do things faster without intervention. But hence, the challenge or the doubt of AI as a technology is not whether it's disruptive or not. It's suddenly you lose control. Human beings love control. Mm-hmm. We always feel that we're the master, machines are the slaves. So there's an intrinsic master-slave relationship. Mm-hmm. You go back home, you plug the microwave oven on. Not until you push the button, the microwave oven will start. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, I suppose most people won't even ask what happened after you push the start button. You just assume that it will heat up the food. Likewise, for a rice cooker, for a washing machine, you don't think about the program. And we're comfortable with that because we know that at the end of the day is the human being who pushed the button. But the AI, the challenge is that nobody actually pushed the button because the button is pushed by the algorithm. You don't even know when it starts. You don't know when it ends.
Right.
And human beings are not comfortable with this scenario. They don't know how to control. They don't know, right? So the question is, what is the relationship between a human being and machine or computer? We are very used to, for thousands of years, that we are the master. We tell it to start, we tell it to stop. But now we're entering into a new era that maybe the machine is your companion, is your co-pilot. In fact, there's obviously one giant technology company is labeling the technology exactly that. What is a co-pilot? Co-pilot means that you're still somewhat a master pilot, but when you fall asleep, the co-pilot takes over, or the co-pilot will help you in doing things. Mm-hmm. So how comfortable are you? Right? How comfortable are you that you're in a car without even telling it to do anything, you can fall asleep and you will start driving, right? So you have a lot of apprehension. But I think over time, people can decide whether certain features are desirable. Not the AI, but certain features are desirable. or certain features need to be augmented. The European Union just started promoting certain rules on, for instance, AI. Why is that? Partly it's because of ethics, but partly because we need to draw a line to allow AI to do so much or so little.
Right. And I suppose we can be rest assured that regardless of the technology, whether it's AI or whatever the technology is, the main driver is the business need or the customer. So if we as customers, let's say someone came with a new AI technology and it can essentially do everything that you need to do that you're currently doing in your day. So it'll replace the need for you to do 95% of the rudimentary tasks that you need to do in the day. Some would find that very uncomfortable. Others would be absolutely fine with it. For those that may have some discomfort in it, perhaps it's reassuring to know that at the end of the day, whatever the technology is, you as a customer need to accept it. Otherwise, there's no business need, there's no revenue to be made, and that's the end of it. So technology really is subservient to the business need.
In a sense, yes, but we need to be careful about that as well, because the so-called business needs, is it a systematic business need or is it a human business needs, right? The challenges is sometimes is that the business needs are not due to the human needs. How about it's the machine needs, right? So the question runs deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the human needs certain things to be open and start and stop. There's a process. But it's the AI algorithm or whatever technology there, because in the entire process of the machine has certain needs. So this whole idea that machine is your co-pilot, think about it as a co-pilot. Think about that you go out, start driving with your friend, right? Your friend now has a need. Yes, you actually, your friend and yourself want to go from from a origin, point A to point B. That is your business needs, your human needs. And you and your friend decide to take turn in driving, right? Say even make assumption that you're the master. He or she is the co-pilot, is the second driver. But when you are asleep, the co-pilot may need something. The co-pilot may need to, take a stop, take a rest, make a phone call, answer a machine message. That is not your original intention, but it's the co-pilot's intention or needs. So it is not your business needs, it's the machine's needs.
Mm-hmm.
So the fundamental or the apprehension of technology is that we don't know exactly why we need that. Because the whole system is telling you, giving you a red flashlight, please do this. And that drives a lot of people crazy.
Mm-hmm. If we look at the broader picture just for a moment, we know that artificial intelligence is being discussed in different industries, by different governments, nations, regions, especially in the Middle East. We know that it's something that's important to many national visions. And of course, Qatar, primarily, it's part of our national 2030 vision. And by extension, since we're a science and technology park, can you talk a little bit more about what new programs or initiatives are coming to QSTP in relation to artificial intelligence?
Well, you touch upon an important question that everyone at the Qatar Science and Technology Park is working very, very hard on delivering. So the way a science park needs to work, there are two things. One is that we need to be empathetic to the ecosystem, the stakeholders, right? So who are the stakeholders? The community, the incumbent members of QSTP, the newcomers into QSTP. So you can imagine that it's a triangulation, right? So each of them has its needs. What QSTP needs to understand and do is to understand the needs and provide the services that satisfy the needs. Right? So that's the relevance of the technology. But for the technological part, what we need to do is to actually create clusters, create ecosystems that requires more people to join QSTP. So all the science park in the world, if you notice it, usually there's a clustering effect.
Yes.
Silicon Valley is called Silicon Valley back then because obviously it's about silicon, right? Taiwan, the science park as Hsinchu, because it's all about circuit manufacturing, circuit design. So we can go on and on about the different business part. So obviously, one possibility of describing is that you need to have a domain, but let's forget about the word domain or area for a minute. It's a clustering effect. Even as simple as if you bring in a bunch of young computer scientists, maybe for the clustering effect, the first thing they need is a vending machine that can sell instant food, right? So suddenly you have a need. So maybe the technology you need is a vending machine. Mm-hmm. Whether it's an R&D project or not, we put it aside. So what QSTP is now doing is to then identify first, because we're in Qatar, what is the need? We are in an affluent country with not so dense population, with an extreme weather during summer. So and then our nation, Qatar, is hoping that we have a talent transformation. So it's very simple. You need some machine or some technology to help you prosper and service you without excessive amount of labor. So robotics, AI, right? That can make your livelihood, the people in Qatar having more productivity. So we're introducing robotics car, a manned vehicle, a manned boat, robotic arm to help the elderly, which are all AI based. So suddenly you have a clustering effect because the artificial intelligence foundation model actually are relatively similar. Mm-hmm. But the application layer, the embodiment of that, if you actually write a patent, they always ask you, what is your embodiment? The embodiment of the fundamental technologies will be wrapped around in some metals, right? Mm. And these metals happens to be the robots, which satisfy your needs. But by bringing a number of them together, then you suddenly have a little ecosystem that requires more external third party to join. And then suddenly you can have the large and small and medium-sized company working together. So that will be the strategy, and that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Now with AI, with the clustering, the theory of clustering, building economic prosperity, I think traditionally it's the approach has been to focus on a specific industry vertical. So for example, I want to build a cluster in oil and gas technologies. I want to invite many different companies in oil and gas at different parts of the value chain, and then researchers working on that as well. So the cluster, in this example, would be oil and gas. But with artificial intelligence, you have the flexibility of touching on multiple clusters, multiple different industries. But the cluster per se, is it safe to say the cluster is AI, but touching on multiple different industries?
Well, I think that's the right way to do it, because if you look at go back to my academic world, in 30 years ago, you go to majority number of universities in the world, you go in there and declare a major. I'm a chemistry major, I'm a physics major, I'm a biology major, as if these disciplines are so vastly different that they live in a different world. But today you go to university, you can pick any courses, and there's some more liberal university. After you take all the courses, you satisfy a degree, you can even create a name for your degree. Bachelor of Science, A, B, C, D, E. That never happened before. Why is that? Because a lot of traditional terms you mentioned about the oil and gas, the food and all that, it's easy for human beings to understand, But technologically, it doesn't have to be that way, right? So, example, an AI that makes a robot to deliver food to you versus an AI robot that would check the gas pipeline and deliver whatever service, quality to the pipeline, actually can be made by the same company.
Right. It's a robot at the end.
It's a robot at the end,
Yeah.
right? So everybody knows that I'm a huge Star Wars fan, right? Think of R2-D2. R2-D2 is a droid. Except other than being a fighting Jedi, it's an all-purpose droid. You can fix an airplane, you can be a co-pilot, under the emotional connection, it does everything. So I feel that the new way of thinking, and I'll be very careful because every time I communicate with people, they say, what kind of domain are you doing? I understand the question, but from a technological point of view, I often feel that we need to be more liberal in the interpretation. So what we are doing is that we're not even asking, because some of the domain don't exist. 20 years ago, what is the domain of, let's say, having a robotic droid, whatever you call it, to serve food? What do you call it? Is it F&B technology? Is it service technology? What domain are we talking about? Because the same robot can deliver, to patients the drugs. So if that is delivered, if the same droid is used in the hospital, is it a medical technology? And in a restaurant becomes an F&B technology? Obviously, we all know that that's not true, right? So and obviously in a different domain, you have a little bit of modification. Maybe in the same droid in the hospital, you want it to be squeaky clean, quiet. And a restaurant, you can have a lower grade mechanical wheel because you can make more noise and cheaper, right? In certain areas, like if you deliver a droid in certain sector, like a shopping mall, because it is much bigger, you want it to have a larger battery, so it can run longer. So we can argue this and that, or an outdoor droid needs to be more environmentally resilient. Right? So we can argue that. But at the end of the day, the very fundamental core of the technology is the same. Optical vision, computer vision, sensors, and all that. Right? So I feel that the way that we want to do cluster is, first of all, get these guys here. At the same time, identify opportunities, then they modify the fundamental technology to satisfy this. So we are actually encouraging technology that can serve and be used as wide as possible in different sectors of the industries.
And bringing those technologies to have a lasting impact on the economy and the people of this country, that does require local participation of the citizens and the residents of this country. What can QSCP, what will QSCP offer to inspire and motivate the people in this country to be active participants in this transition?
Well, I think I don't need to do much selling. They're already participating because, as you mentioned early on, there's a need. It's not a business need, it's a human need, right? So the human need trumps everything. So the QSTP methodology is a triangulation methodology. The stakeholder that we are mostly focusing on, we are the community, but also our graduates, the QF graduates, where at the end of the day, QSTP is within Education City. So the triangulation is often, in my mind, the newcomer, the new clusters, with the incumbent community. It can be energy sector, it can be a household, it can be domestic, right? It can be multinational. In order to satisfy those needs, the new technologies are here. Who is going to do it? It's, of course, the younger generations who can embody, who can take advantage of these new technologies and generate new ideas and new exciting implementation, at the same time enriching themselves intellectually and hopefully even financially.
I think it's wonderful that you've committed to this journey with QSTP. It's wonderful to have you here. I think it's going to be an inspiring journey, especially for the younger generation.
So
And I feel that that journey can start with QSTP. So
it has to
forward. It has to.
it has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
It will happen.
Yes. So thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you
Lau,
very
for
much,
joining me.
Mohammed.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you.